Welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me at that website, at Sean_W_Anderson. Alongside me is Herb Lawrence,
Hello.
who couldn't wait to open his 17 drinks before we started the show. I mean,
No, I could not.
Okay, all right. You can follow him at Ectorwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We are being produced today by Stephen Nicholas, our guy, and we're coming to you live after a White Sox loss. Imagine if I kept that bit up where I just paused after every single loss. I would just be silent for the first 35 minutes. Sox fall 35 games under 500. They lose 10-2 to the Twinkies.
See, our guy Fred, I said, I started the 100 loss thing as a joke. We're going 6-9 the rest of the way. Seems like almost guaranteed.
They need 7 wins in their last 15 games to avoid 100 losses. Hence why Fred's saying 6-9. Do they get to 100 losses, right? That's guaranteed. They have to play 3 more against Minnesota, and I think those are probably all losses.
Probably, but then they play the Nationals on the road, who are not great, but better than the White Sox, which most teams are. And at the end of their year, they play the Padres, who are going to be not one to win. So there's people on their schedule that are not great. So theoretically, they can win those games, but they're the White Sox, so they'll lose them.
It'd be hilarious if they do win 7 of the last 15 and then get to 99 losses. And they were like, hey, moral victory. We didn't get to 100.
You know they're going to celebrate that.
We're going to be joined a little bit later by our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber. You could read his latest piece at allchgo.com. We'll talk a little bit about this game, and we'll talk a little bit about the future. Let's jump into the king of the game. All right, shout out to DraftKings Sportsbook. We have our DraftKings King of the Game for you, and it's our friend, our pal, Brian Shaw.
Oh, yes.
2/3 innings pitched, no hits allowed, 1 walk, and 1 glorious back tattoo. If you didn't know Brian Shaw's last name by looking at his face, all you have to do is look at his back tattoo, and it will say Shaw. It's mainly for the joke. It's mainly for the bit, but this is probably the least I've actually watched a White Sox game this year, or cared about a White Sox game, because there's 2 TVs in front of our face, so it's hard not to watch both of them.
Exactly. Shawfax, that's a terrible tattoo, but also that's a great person for the DraftKings King of the Game, because he came into the game and didn't give up anything.
No.
So that's a rarity for White Sox pitchers.
And he bailed out our guy, Jose Ureña. Let's go to the starting pitcher graphic here for Kenta Maeda and Jose Ureña. Brian Shaw ends up bailing Jose Ureña after he goes 6 1/3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 7 hits, 8 strikeouts for Jose Ureña in a White Sox uniform, and no walks. Kenta Maeda, 7 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 4 hits allowed, 8 Ks, and 1 walk. I don't know if I want to defend Jose Ureña here.
Yeah, you do.
The 6 earned runs, it wasn't that bad.
No.
That wasn't, if they pulled him after 6, it would have been a fine start.
It would have been, but he was efficient with his start. So I think he was under 80 pitches before that 7th inning started. Mm-hmm. So, of course, Pedro puts him back out there. He had 8 strikeouts, I believe, up to that point. And then, White Sox things happen. He just gave up a couple home runs, and then his numbers up to 6 earned runs. But those 2 pitches he gave up home runs to, it was a fat pitch to Farmer. What is a high slider? Mm-hmm. Ugh. But he did have a good slider working for him early in the game. Also, his changeup was having the Twins out in front. I'm kind of glad he got hit hard in the 7th inning so that ERA looks a little worse. So we don't have that dude as a conversation for next year's starter. Every starter on this team that pitches halfway decent, oh, yeah, let's have that guy back. No Jose Ureña. No,
they're all mids. It's all fours. It's brutal. I mean, Jose Ureña. We could look at the stuff. There's some. boggling numbers that we'll get to a little later. He threw 90 pitches. As Herb said, I thought he was going to throw like 115. I thought this was going to be a Jordan Lyles special. I thought he was just going to wear it. I thought Pedro said, hey, when was the last time you threw 100 pitches? And Jose Ureña said, I don't know. And Pedro said, let's make it tonight.
I think Pedro probably was feeling that, but that seventh inning was so rough that he's like,
malpractice if he doesn't if he doesn't take him out there. Nothing really like super important in the spin and pitch velocity stuff. It's Jose Ureña. But let's look at the swings let's look at the called strikes and whiffs. Because Jose Ureña got 16 whiffs tonight on 54 swings, 30% whiff rate, 12 called strikes for Ureña as well, 31 called strike plus whiff percentage, again, 8 Ks. So he was efficient, did a really decent job at times at spotting that changeup off the plate. It's just he's never done that in his major league career, and his major league career is about, 8 years long at this point. So I just, it's going to be hilarious watching the Jesse Schultons, Touki Toussaint, Nick Nastrini, Christian Mena, and Jose Ureña plus starting rotation battle.
You didn't put Dylan Cease in there?
No, well, he's got a spot.
Okay. Ugh, that all is terrible. All that, what you just said, is terrible. Like,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be, you get to watch position battles in the NFL all the time. Hopefully they make it like a Hard Knocks special where they're actually fighting for these spots. You'll maybe have Cease's name in Sharpie, like outside the manager's office. Kopech maybe in like a pencil, right? And then they could have like magnets for the other guys, and we'll just move them around that way. And then it's like, let the big dog eat, and whoever has the nicest outing, it's just battle royale style.
It's got to do something, because I thought Pedro was supposed to change culture, change effort, change all those things, but 3 hits against Kenta Maeda until that last couple innings. Then they finally scored some runs with Vaughn hitting a home run. The effort looked lacking. I know Kenta was good. His splitter looked nice. But this is a guy that's in your division. You should have been seeing him for a while. Should have an idea of what he's throwing. It just seemed like the bats were like, all right, first pitch, let's go. First pitch, let's go type of stuff. Like, way too much lackadaisical play. I know they're out of it. But they're pros. They're getting paid still for these games. And to get embarrassed yet again by another division foe, how does that bode well for the team moving forward? If these people are not listening to you now, you think they're going to listen to you in April or February next spring training? No. So why are we continuing with this Pedro Grifol thing?
Because Chris Getz knows him. And again, that's really important. You see the Red Sox fire Chaim Bloom today, their general manager, and you think, hey, if you're getting rid of Rick Hahn and Kenny Williams, you'd be able to interview Chaim Bloom, a guy that's worked with the Rays and the Red Sox. You'd be able to interview Chris Getz. But again, what's most important is that Chris Getz knows all these people.
And he hits the ground running.
Because
terribly.
What Jerry Reinsdorf wants is for you guys to win as fast as possible. Usually, like, if I was going to build a car right now, I would want to build it as fast as I possibly can.
That's what always I say. Is like, I don't want things done right. I want them done fast.
Fast. And usually efficiency is things that people, try to figure out. That's the whole thing of analytics is like, how efficient can you be? And let's maximize every single thing that you do. People think, it's the boogeyman and it's ruining baseball and analytics are woke. It's just basically about efficiency, which Jerry Reinsdorf hates. He's just I don't know how to run, but I'm going to run 100 miles per hour and I'm going to run 26 miles right now. Starting right now, I am going to just be the fastest man alive and be a marathon runner.
And that's the thing. Like, older gentleman, so I was slow to get to the analytics stuff. But the stuff I was talking about hard hit balls, about balls being filthy movement, are the things that analytics explain. And so all the stuff that Hawk used to say about TW, and all the rest of the stuff, like all the things that he was talking about with Yaz and Rico Petrocelli and stuff, those things can be quantified and actually help his argument more. And the same thing with Jerry Reinsdorf. If he would just lay into some analytics, having a research and development department, having the Dodgers thing, like the Dodgers, and somebody was texting me today about the Dodgers minor league system, all like at all three levels are all going to the playoffs apparently in their minor league system. And also the Dodgers feed their minor leaguers well. Like they're not just a peanut butter and jelly spread like most minor league spreads. They have a nutritionist there. They want their players who are in the minors to eventually be in the majors to eat right, to eat better, so performance can be better. And so he should take a page out of other teams' books and say, well, how are they doing it? Why are they doing it? Yes, it costs money, but it also produces dubs, which also brings you money.
Well, and again, I think that's where you see the Boston thing, and I'll try to tie this in, and then we'll take a break. You see John Henry, they spend a ton of money, and this is from Gabrielle Starr's piece in the Boston Herald about Chaim Bloom being fired. She writes, until the final season of the Dombrowski era, 4 years qualifies as an era when no one lasted longer since Theo Epstein's 9 years. It was abundantly clear the Red Sox were trying to win. They gave David Price the richest pitching contract in Major League history at the time, and they traded for Craig Kimbrell and Chris Sale. When that wasn't enough, Dombrowski signed J.D. Martinez, and he was able to somewhat fill in the gaping hole left by David Ortiz's retirement. He added some top trade deadline acquisitions in Nathan Eovaldi and Stephen Pierce, and though the upper levels of the farm system were indeed depleted on the journey back to October, several of Dombrowski's prospects are only getting started in the majors, including Tristan Casas, Brian Bayo, and Serenine Rafaela. By the end of Dombrowski's tenure, the Red Sox wanted to take a break from spending over the limit, and they needed to strengthen their farm system, which ranked last in the majors in 2019. So despite Dombrowski's track record, which included totally rebuilding a broken Tigers system, the Red Sox wanted someone else for the task at hand. Bloom's appeal was no secret. With minuscule budget, the small market Tampa Bay Rays managed to consistently develop elite prospects and field competitive teams. If the Red Sox could get Bloom to do the same for their farm system, that combined with overflowing coffers would make them an unstoppable force. But again, everyone in what you blame Chaim Bloom for is trading Mookie Betts. The whole reason, though, and we see Brian Cashman end up keeping his superstar and Aaron Judge, even though John Heyman wanted Arson Judge to be a Giant. The Red Sox never committed to Chaim Bloom being able to develop the minor leagues, right? I mean, you see the job that, now I'm blanking on the Dodgers guy, Friedman, right?
Andrew Friedman.
Yeah, Andrew Friedman. I mean, you mentioned how they're feeding those minor leaguers, but again, that's what's feeding this entire major league system. All of the prospects that we get, all of these random pitchers that we turn into studs from these cast off major league teams, we're able to bolster them with a lush minor league. Nick Nastrini can be traded away because we're trying to help the major league system. But Jerry Reinsdorf, and Vinnie wrote the quote in his piece today about, I spent $180 million. I think John Henry and Jerry Reinsdorf look at this and say, well, I was spending $180 million when I was winning championships, so why can't you do that now? Let's do it fast and, under my terms. And it's no, why don't you spend $180 million smartly?
Yes.
Right? Why don't you spend 75 on your MLB roster and then feed your minor leaguers well and then fill out your baseball staff with, a vast analytics department to try to turn some of those quad A guys that seem so plenty in Major League Baseball into those major leaguers. I mean, we see Ryan O'Hearn with the Royals be a cast-off, and now he's hitting dingers for the Orioles.
You just named them earlier. J.D. Martinez. He was also ran. Then he went to Detroit, turned into a superstar.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, he's still doing it too. Again, it's just, the White Sox really don't have a ton of stories like that. No. It's all, hopefully you're good.
And hey, hopefully you're healthy too.
Right, and hopefully you stay good forever. We think you're good at 21, and hopefully we'll sign you with a long extension, and you'll stay good forever with no injuries.
I don't blame Chaim for his orders because he had to do what he had to do. I blame him for the execution of the orders and trading Mookie Betts for pennies on the dollar with Verdugo and Jeter Downs and Wong. That's not enough. That's definitely not enough for a guy in his prime who's already won a World Series and won a MVP. And it's as versatile as Mookie Betts, and we see what Marcus Lynn Betts is doing right there in L.A. He's going to win his second MVP and be one of the only people, I think him, I know Eddie, Frank Robinson won one in both leagues, and then there's another couple people that won.
Frank.
2, have they?
Oh, 2.
2 in one in each league.
I think Frank's the only guy.
Frank Robinson.
Yeah, only player to be named.
Yes.
So Mookie would be the second.
Yeah, so that guy they traded for. Verdugo's a decent player. He's turned into a decent player, but he's not Mookie Betts, and they didn't get enough for him. That's why I give Chaim Bloom the old, hey, man, you messed that trade up, and that could have kickstarted off a nice era of Boston baseball with a huge get from the Dodgers, and they didn't get a lot.
I agree, but, I mean, as, you know, I think Vinnie says a ton, you know, prospects are crapshoots. I mean, you never know. I mean, you could have got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from the Dodgers, gotten their top 5 best prospects, and would have turned into a superstar. You know, I mean, it's just you had a superstar in Mookie Betts. John Henry owns the Red Sox and Liverpool. I think he could fucking pay Mookie. That math is more simple to me. Instead of trying to thread the needle by trading Mookie Betts, just sign the damn player.
Whenever you have a player that you drafted in the 5th round, you developed through the minor league system, and he became the best player in baseball on your team, you do whatever you need to do to sign that player. Always, every single time. Maybe if you have I don't want to sign these players. If you're Jerry Reinsdorf, I don't want to. But if you do that, all that, you sign that player to whoever he wants. Because look at right when he got to the Dodgers, he's like, Dodgers like, what do you want? Oh, that's it? Get your ass out of here. Go ahead and play. That's it.
You could have traded him for a literal money trade. Like literally that grows money, and it wouldn't have been worth it.
And I know the war to millions is weird, but Fangraphs, 1 WAR equals $8 million. He should be $80 million worth this year.
Right.
Because he's a 10 WAR player, because of his versatility, because he's a great hitter, all that stuff. And yes, the Dodgers are getting a huge bargain on Mookie Betts, a 30-year-old Mookie Betts.
Instead of saying what he can't do or what he can do, just name what he can't do. Be taller than 6 feet.
That's it.
That's it.
He can bowl.
He can bowl.
Play second, short, right field.
Left field. Center field.
Yeah.
Probably could catch.
He could probably pitch, too.
Hit for contact. Hit
power.
homers.
Steal.
Not
walk. That much, but still.
I mean, shit. I'd kill for a Mookie Betts.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
They had him. See, people say Fernando Tatis all the time for the White Sox. I don't take too much pain in that one, as I always say. He wasn't stateside. He wasn't that good, and eventually he got help from other things. So that's not a big-time loss for the White Sox. If I was a Red Sox fan and I look at Mookie Betts doing what he does, I'm like, son of a... We had that, man. We had him. Y'all let him go.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches.
I mean, Tatis isn't as good as Mookie.
No, he's not. Barely anybody's better than Mookie this year.
I mean, Trout, and even then, I mean, at the end of their careers, Trout might be a sad story with all these injuries, and Mookie might just be able to cruise to a very, very long career. Craig Biggio-like, maybe Derek Jeter-like. I mean, he's just small, compact. He never gets really too outside of his limits as a human. It's insane athletic ability. Hit the thumbs up button if you're hanging out with us. We're going to take a break, and then Vinnie Duber will be joining us soon. We'll chat about Nick Nastrini. You'll hear from him after the break. But first, we want to let you know about our friends over at Ray Chevy. Ray Chevy. If you are in the market for a newer used vehicle, you have to check out our friends over at Ray Chevy in Fox Lake. They have just joined the CHGO team. They have the Ray Price Promise, which is a guarantee that the price you see online is the price you pay when you go into the dealership. They've found at Ray Chevy and Ray Auto Group, they've been in business since 1963. They are pros, and they have found that with other dealers, they'll raise the price on you when you come into the dealership. And they'll start asking you questions when you give them the online price, saying, well, are you a recent college grad? Are you active in the military? Are you a farmer?
No.
And in most cases, right, Herb? Say that again?
I am not a farmer, but that guy who hit the home run is a farmer.
Kyle? Yeah, Kyle is. But I think this is more occupation-wise. He's a baseball player. In most cases, the answer will be no. And that's when other dealers will raise the price on you, saying the price online included limited rebates that you do not qualify for. At Ray, that is not the case. The price you see online is the price you pay with no add-ons to the price ever. And in fact, Ray will do everything possible to find additional savings for you, which may make the price even lower than you see online. As one of the top selling dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories and save big at Ray Chevy because they now have over 100 Chevy Trax models available starting at $21,495. Now through September 30th, all buyers can qualify for 0% financing, make 0 payments until 2024, plus put no money down, and best of all, pay 0 hidden fees with the Ray Price Promise. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com, serving the community since 1963. Find new roads. Oh, look at you. That's a very Deion Sanders of me right there.
Yeah, it is.
Start
the sentence and the team finishes.
And I'm glad you finished it for me.
Yeah.
I left you hanging. We didn't practice that, and you did a good
Steven,
job.
we're going to take it.
Huh?
I was going to think it's Steven. I was going to finish my sentence.
I have no idea what you were going to say.
Sean, we're going to take that Colorado State thing.
Make it personal.
There it is. Make it personal.
Make it personal.
Personal.
You just said take it. I couldn't go off of that.
Personal. You know what's personal?
What?
If you don't drink Goose Island. I had a very I want to give a shout out, I guess. Shout out to Sam, who jumped into my Twitter DM.
Sam Marr?
No.
Okay.
A different Sam. At Sam Sox 03. I would try to take a shot at his last name, but I'm going to butcher it. You want to give it a shot right there?
All right. Sam Pakaga?
Yeah, right. It's. I think it's Polish, and I'm Irish.
P-A-C-I-C-A? I-C-G-A?
Pasija.
That's right.
Maybe.
That works.
Maybe. Shout out Sam. But he jumped into my DMs, and I didn't know what to do with this. But he's sitting on a Metra, and they're going to the Bears game.
Yep.
And he's in his Bears uniforms. And someone snuck a peek, and it's him and his dad. And he said, "Hey, dude, I need assistance here. Packers Twitter is dragging my name through the mud because my brother-in-law set me up. We went to the Bears game Sunday and had bought beer, some Cheesehead beer on the train ride up. He snapped a picture of my dad and I drinking it, and now they're talking about it on their podcast, and we're being shit on. Goose Island is my favorite stuff, and I need a way to have CHGO or Goose Island correct this. I don't know. I am a small White Sox podcaster. I don't know how to get Goose Island to correct this, Sam. But I do know that Aaron Nagler is stinky of Cheesehead TV,
Yep.
and I could tell you that you recognized that you should have been drinking Goose Island. That if you're wearing a Bears uniform, that if you're going to be representing the city of Chicago for now until they go to Arlington, you should be drinking Chicago's beer. It's been Chicago's beer since 1988. CHGO supported by Goose Island Beer Company, and their beer roster includes the 312 Wheat Ale, which Sam should have been drinking, maybe one of the beers from the Beer Hug family, which Sam should have been drinking, or maybe the Full Pocket Pills, which Sam should have been drinking.
Sam, the next time we have a tailgate for CHGO, which if you can find the
You should get them out.
the actual schedule, because I forgot the next one.
Maybe
Maybe it's the Denver
1st,
one,
I want to say.
but we're selling, or not selling, like once you get into the tailgate, we have free Goose Islands for you, the Pocket Pills, the 312, all the Beer Hug series, all of them. So, yeah, October 1st versus Denver Broncos, the Denver Broncos. Come on out to the tailgate. You don't have to worry about getting garbage Green Bay beer. You'll have the most delicious beer in Chicago, that 312, or you'll have that Pocket Pills, or you'll have one of the Beer Hug series.
Maybe I should get Sam onto that. Maybe that should be how I redeem Sam. Grab an ultra-fresh brewery-exclusive beer at Goose Island's original brew house on Clybourne Avenue in Lincoln Park, or from their tap room on Fulton Street in Westtown. Goose Island Beer Company, Chicago's beer. Okay, I think we're through with this ad break. All right, we're gonna do another ad break later.
Okay,
but it's going to be after Vinnie Duber joins us. And Vinnie Duber did write a new piece at allchgo.com. I want you to go check it out. It's previewing Chris Get's massive offseason to-do list to quickly turn the White Sox into contenders.
Friends.
A tall task. But, hey, again, the elephant in the room says they can make it into the playoffs next year. Let's go to a person that Vinnie mentions in this piece. The first thing that he jumps into is starting pitching, and a lot of it. We looked at the 26-man roster and said they probably need to fill out about 13 spots. Let's go to AAA Jeff Cohen works for Future Sox, Future Sox, and he does a great job covering the Charlotte Knights. And Nick Nastrini started for the Knights yesterday, and Jeff caught up with him before today's game. And shout out to Jeff again. Follow him at AAA Jeff, and that is just triple 1A. So triple spelled out TIRPLA Jeff on Twitter. But here is Nick Nastrini on his pitch mix, and then we're going to end it on a quote that will probably lead us into a discussion on if you'll see Nick Nastrini next year.
Feature a four-seam fastball, slider, curveball, changeup. Just the generic four that you throw as a starting pitcher.
Are you working on anything with any of them currently?
No, it's just making the shapes a little bit more consistent. Sometimes my changeup gets a little bit verty, so getting that vertical break under 10, making sure it stays there, and then slider, same thing, gets a little cuttery sometimes. I do a pretty good job standing behind the baseball. So when I throw both pitches that move horizontally, like my slider and my changeup, it tends to get a little verty. So just making sure it gets down a little bit so you can get some depth and get some differential off the fastball.
And your four seam got a little ride, I guess?
Yeah, it does. It averages around between 18, 19, and 20. Sometimes gets into 21s. But yeah, it's around there. So it's above average, I would say, as far as vertical break goes.
Do you see yourself a place for yourself in Chicago next year?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think that I have a unique role with them. I think I can go ahead and infiltrate the starting rotation coming out of spring training, and that's what I'm going to work on this offseason. I know I needed to work on this offseason to go ahead and go out there and try to bring a World Series to Chicago.
Hey, Nick Nastrini's got it right. I mean, he ends it right there by saying bringing a World Series to Chicago. Let's go to Vinnie Duber, who's out at Guaranteed Rate Field. And, I mean, you said it's a tall task, Vinnie, in your piece at allchgo.com. Are you wearing a Michigan hoodie?
That's Mizzou.
Oh, it's a Mizzou hoodie. Okay, God, I'm so sorry. I thought it had a navy sheen to it. Mizzou makes a lot more sense. I'm sorry. Let's move on. But Nick Nastrini ends there by saying, maybe have a chance to go help Chicago win a championship. You said it's a tall task for Chris Getz, but you started tackling it today. How tall of a task is it?
It's outrageously tall. It's Sears Tower tall, isn't it? I mean, I think the idea, let's set it up, not just making this team good, period, making this team good by opening day next year, right? I mean, there's just so much to do. I mean, you're talking about a roster that needs to replace half the guys or something like that. The needs are many, and I think you're going to see a lot of moves this winter. You have to, right, in order to field the team. But let's remember, this is why Chris Getz has the job. The idea of bringing about this positive change as quickly as possible. I think it's probably worth pointing out that just because he'd be, as Jerry Reinsdorf put it, a year ahead maybe of an outside candidate, doesn't mean that year ahead means right now, right on opening day next year. But at the same time, Jerry doesn't want to rebuild, right? And I mean, Chris is going to come in here. If there's any further subtraction from what they already need, if you throw more needs on top of it, you don't pick up Tim Anderson's option. That's a need at shortstop. You decide you want to trade one of the core guys, be they a pitcher or a hitter. That's another need that you've got to go fill on top of everything else. That looks like a rebuild, doesn't it? And that sounds like a rebuild. So I don't think we're going to be getting that rebuild, but there are just so many things that need to get done in order for this team to be competitive next year. And it all has to be done after Jerry says, the comments that he made about the budget and free agent spending. So it's a very tall task. It's like I said, it's Sears Tower tall, I think.
It doesn't make sense either, Vinny. This team is absolutely horrible. And to my eye, it looks like they're getting embarrassed almost on a nightly basis. So the culture that Pedro wants to build is obviously not there. And most of these position players will be coming back for the most part. So, yes, Chris has a gargantuan job ahead of him, which any veteran guy would be like, this is impossible. Now he has to do it. I know that Chris says that, Pedro's coming back, but these players are not listening to him now. What makes him think he's going to change in February when it gets down to Glendale?
I mean, at the end of the day, all of this rests on one thing, and that's winning, right? I mean, I think the cultural changes when Rick said, obviously Rick is no longer here, but when Rick said that they addressed some of those cultural and clubhouse issues by who they got rid of at the trade deadline, that is what they can point to, because I think what you're talking about, Herb, is not realistic, right? You want to see an entirely new style of play when this team is 30 games under 500. And I think that the record and the reality of where they had been the previous, count it, 3, 4, 5 months, whatever you want to put on it, is impossible to get over at this point. And so I think Pedro is doing the work that he can on that front, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of a sudden these guys are going to be fired up and going and playing a different brand of baseball by flipping a switch like that. This is a team that is wildly disappointing. It's a team that is wildly out of the race, right? And has been for a very long time this season. I don't think you can expect to see the fruits of that work right away in this situation, if that makes sense. And so if you see then, though, come the spring or come opening day next year, maybe that's when you could see that kind of thing. But also, you're right. You're not seeing that. And why should you expect to see it other than the record's going to go back to 0-0? And I think that's a positive, right? I think you can act differently when you have a chance. But right now, I mean, you're seeing what you're seeing. You've seen it all year, but it's the year's cumulative total of all those losses and all the disappointment and all the way they've been doing all that losing. And it's reflected on a nightly basis right now.
At least going to the culture part and maybe deciding what players will be here next year to see if they have the buy-in or not. I thought it was interesting that you did include the quote from Chris Getz regarding Tim Anderson, where he said, "I wouldn't be surprised if you look up next year and all of a sudden he's back to the Tim Anderson we're accustomed to seeing, but it takes a lot of effort and focus to be a successful major league player, and we need to make sure all of these players are fully committed to being part of our group moving forward." I guess, is Tim like that one player that they really need to make a determination that maybe, Rick said, when they got rid of those players at the trade deadline. Maybe there wasn't a deal for Tim to get rid of him. Maybe they're just kind of banking and giving him as much rope as possible because of the player that he could be. Like, are they possibly making a decision to get rid of Tim Anderson this offseason because of culture reasons, less of like performance reasons? I mean, just with that quote, or maybe less of a buy-in?
I mean, I don't think any of that has been stated outright, and so I think any of the possibilities that you said there would just be speculation. But that being said, I included that quote because it allows you to have some skepticism that it would be a slam dunk, right? Because I think Herb and I have talked this to death over the last few months. If Tim Anderson is Tim Anderson next year and you're paying him $14 million, that's a relative bargain. And so, of course, you should make that bet, right? But when you hear something like that from Chris Getz, and it could be just, covering both sides of an equation, but when you hear something like that, maybe you go, oh, maybe it's not a slam dunk like maybe you thought it was before. That being said, I mean, I think you can look at these core players in general and say, what is, the future with any of them? You can kind of weigh that. I included a quote from Rick from the trade deadline that was all about, this hasn't been working, and do they have to consider making some changes to this group? And he said, of course you have to consider it. Chris should have to consider it as well. But like I said, if you are on the side of, hey, addition by subtraction with one or some of these guys, the subtraction is going to create another task on that list, and it's going to make it even more difficult to accomplish all these things in one winter. It makes it look like even more of a rebuild, right? Say they trade Aloy or trade Cease or don't pick up TA's option. Well, then you've got another big giant hole on the roster that you have to go fill. So you can definitely look at any possibility. He said in his opening press conference that no one's untouchable, right? And you can look at anything being possible this winter, but how much is realistic for him to get done? That's the question.
Yeah, we'll continue this discussion. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll ask a little bit about maybe a guy that will be here, or we know will be here for sure next year, who just hit his 20th homer of the season. Let's let you know about Fubo TV. If you're looking to watch I guess it's the one thing you can't watch is Thursday Night Football because that's Prime exclusive. Mm-hmm. So like if you want to watch anything on Sunday, if you want to watch anything on Monday, there's 2 Monday night games this week for NFL. You get a ton of college football with our friends over at Fubo TV. Watch the White Sox. They have Marquee as well for Cubs fans. They have 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device and watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price. And you can start watching immediately with a free trial over at FuboTV.com/CHGO. That's FuboTV.com/CHGO. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up and start watching. And my favorite part is the 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. And again, it's your way to watch the Big Ten, all your college football this Saturday, the NFL this Sunday. Get your Bears in. You can watch Red Zone on Fubo as well. And hey, maybe you're a soccer fan. You can watch the UEFA Euro qualifiers. Watch all of your favorite college football and NFL with Fubo TV. Go to www.FuboTV.com/CHGO. to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. That's FuboTV.com/CHGO to sign up for 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. And we brought up the tailgate earlier, Steven, if you want to flash that. We have a Die Hard program. You could see the box in front of us right here. When you sign up, you get a shirt, and you can check those out at CHGOlocker.com. You get a free shirt when you become a member. Members also get 20% off events like the tailgate. Our next one is October 1st when the Denver Broncos come to town. And we are CHGO. We're trying to serve the diehards, whether you're Fred, riding the tumbleweed to 100 losses with the White Sox, whether you're a Bears diehard pissed off about the Week 1 loss to the Packers, we have you covered with podcasts and live shows on every team every day, from the Red Stars and Sky to the Bulls and Fire to the Sox and Cubs. And we also have beat writers on every single beat covering the team and writing pieces like Vinnie did at allchgo.com. So sign up today, get 20% off events, get a free shirt when you sign up, get a nice Die Hard membership box, and get access to our members-only Discord, the CHGO Lounge. Today, check that out at allchgo.com. Herb, who's made you feel good this week?
Let me see. It's got to be an athlete?
From Chicago sports, yeah, that's a tough one.
That is really tough.
I'm sorry.
I mean...
I didn't write the question, if that helps.
No, it didn't, but there's no good Bears person. I guess, as Steven flashed it, Brian Shaw in his scoreless appearance. So
there you go.
Brian Shaw today, the king of the game, and also he made me feel good.
And hey, Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. So if you walk in with a back tattoo with your name, they will not judge you. It's a place where all kind of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products, because Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your football season. No matter where you are on your cannabis journey, they have easy online ordering and in-store pickup to make it easy for yourself. And once you get comfortable, they have a great transparent loyalty program, Sunnyside Rewards, which will get you rewarded for your purchases. Illinois' favorite dispensary, and they have locations from Wrigleyville to Elmwood Park, all the way up near the Wisconsin border in South Beloit.
Yep.
Right? So go check out their in-house brands like Mindy's, Good News, Cresco, High Supply, Floracal, Wonder, and Remedy. And through October 15th, when you head to sunnyside.shop, use code CHGO25 at 25% off your total order, one use per customer, and it's not snackable with other promotions. And that's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order at sunnyside.shop. Tell your friends through October 15th and your neighbors. Again,
call your sons and your daughters.
Anyone can use the code. Pick up everything you need.
You got to be 21, though.
Yeah, pick up everything you need to elevate your summer, elevate your football season. Summer's over. Pick up everything you need to elevate your football season. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med Card holder. And like Herb said, you got to be 21 plus. All right. Where are we going? Oh, Andrew Vaughn.
Andy Vaughn.
So that's one place that they really don't have to address is first base. Andrew Vaughn hits his 20th homer of the year. I just wanted to give him a shout out. You know, we can only celebrate a few milestones here because everyone's kind of bad on the team. I don't know if Andrew Vaughn spoke after the game. I don't know if Pedro said anything after. It's probably kind of a down mood after a 10-2 loss. But Andrew Vaughn's here in 2024. Yay.
Yeah, we asked Pedro a few times, both before and after the game, about Andrew Vaughn, and he's really high on what he can be. He thinks he's going to be a guy who's only going to get better. He said, in a way, and don't be mad at first here, but he said he's happy that he hasn't tapped into his potential all the way yet, because it shows that he's got more time to more room to grow and more stuff that he can do on the field. And I think you're seeing that, right, from one year to the next. He's at 20 home runs this year, and that's a number that everybody looks at. But I think really down the second half here, he's looked a lot better than he did in the first. He was kind of pleased about a 20 home run thing. This is a guy who's kind of always like, win or lose, that's what matters. But he's out there saying, yeah, that's true, but 20 home runs, that's kind of cool. So he was happy to get to that number as well tonight. And you're right, he's a guy that's definitely going to be here. Not only is he one of those core pieces that they planned on being here for a long time, but he's also an affordable one, right? He's a guy that they haven't signed to a big contract yet, and therefore his salary is not jumping up as some of the other guys in that position player group are. So they need, as Pedro said after the game, they need him. They need him to be good and be a middle of the order bat. And he's shown that he can be an RBI guy, and he's got some power now. But I think everybody, himself included, are waiting for what's next, because I think everybody, ever since they drafted him, thought that there was a lot there. That there was a potential for him to be a really good baseball player, and that's what Pedro called him today. So,
and I know time to time, we crap on Pedro for leaving in starting pitchers a little too long. But today, I thought Urena was rolling, and I think he had fewer than 80 pitches coming into that seventh inning, and just lost it and got tired, it looked like, and left a couple of sliders hanging. What did Pedro or Jose have to say after the game, after actually a good start? So the 6 earned runs were going to be glaring, but it was actually a little bit better than the numbers said.
Yeah, I think anybody who watched it, the 6 innings that he did turn in before that, all those runs were scored, were pretty darn good. And that's basically what both guys said, that, hey, for the most part, it was good, and then it got bad there at the end. So, listen, he's a guy who's here to eat some innings up, I guess, and save the bullpen, and he had 6 1/3 of them tonight to do just that. But it's very strange to see this pitching group tonight, right? I don't think anybody expected Jose Ureña, Brian Shaw, who else was out there? Davy Garcia and Sammy Peralta. That's not I don't think anybody expected any of those pitchers to be on this team this year, and yet here we are, and that's probably as good an example of how low things have gone for this team as any.
Yeah, now I'm just only excited about Nick Nastrini, and I didn't bring up this quote, but this was honestly poetry from Nick Nastrini in that Jeff Cohen clip. What he didn't like about his start yesterday was, quote, his changeup got a little verty. So that's an inside baseball term, a little too vertical. For
one syllable? You're saving one syllable?
Come on. A little tail on that, a little too verty.
No, I don't like that one bit.
Okay, all right.
Just use the word.
Yeah, I agree. Vertical. It's a fun one. Cull. You don't get a lot of ulls in the language. So,
and Alex Root says Brian Shaw has been low key really good.
Knock it off,
Alex. Stop.
It's true.
You missed earlier. He's our king of the game today.
That's true,
Alex. So yes,
you're gonna do it one time in the press box. If you do it at the end of the season, no one's gonna remember. Like if it's the last thing you do at the press box, no one's gonna be remembering. Like, hey, remember last time you were in here when you were like Sarah Goosington? So, real quick on Nastrini though, Fangraphs has his pitches 60 grade fastball. Right now, grading his slider at a 50 grade with a future potential to be around 60. His curveball at a 55 grade with the potential of a 60 grade, and his changeups at 40 with a future grade of 50. That was the one thing that we wanted to focus a little bit with that clip, was just that he's got a 4-pitch mix. That's why he's got starting pitcher potential, and that's why, hey, the White Sox, as Vinnie laid out in his article today that you could check out at allchgo.com, that's why, even though he's 23, he's saying, hey, I could be on this team next year, because there's not a lot of guys that have that in the White Sox organization.
Love the confidence.
I can't believe you brought up that he said Verdi, but didn't bring up that he said infiltrate. He's like going all 007 on the White Sox starting rotation next year.
It's pretty badass, going to infiltrate the White Sox and take them over by storm. Nick Nastrini is the new captain of the White Sox. Get used to it. Anyways, that's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer, and check out his latest piece at allchgo.com. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to everyone for hanging out with us in the chat, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button while you've been watching. I don't know, as we end tonight. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing the show. We will talk to you on Sunday. Goodbye.